It's good for the skin, it's good for the hair. It's just an amazing all around ingredient, as well as seed oils, which are antioxidants to prevent any free radicals getting inside the hair and damaging the hair, such as the sun and pollution, things like that. So it prevents any of those free radicals getting into the hair. Also, we have I'm not going to pronounce this properly, but kaolin, and that is acting as a cleansing agent, which helps remove any excess oils or dirt off the hair to allow the tree or the lightener to work properly. So today I'm going to show you a balayage technique with using this product, our lightening powder mask. And traditionally, we would use for balayage, since balayage is a open air and freehand technique, we would traditionally use a clay lightener, but I wanted to get fun today and really show you the benefits of our lightning powder mask, because it is a wonderful lightning powder. So it's not going to be done traditionally where it's open-handed. I am going to use some foils today, which I know you're saying, well, balayage is usually done freehand, no foils, right? That's like the rule. But I'm going to break the rules today, okay? So I already did most of my model's hair. This is Joanne. Everybody say hello. Thank you so much, Joanne, for joining us today and being my model. Ooh, get her. She's stuck, sorry. I just wanted to show you what the aftermath will look like. Okay, you see how nice and sun-kissed that looks. Very natural looking, and that's what balayage is meant for, right? And the grow out is amazing with balayage because it allows clients to go a little bit longer between their highlighting. It's not such a dimension as far as lines in the hair. It's much more subtle. So you can, what I love about this technique I'm going to show you is that you can create it softer or stronger if you want to. So it's very customizable. So this is what she was before. Now this is also previously done. I did an ombre technique on her past. So that's what it looked like before with the ombre technique years ago. Now this is the new balayage technique. You can see the difference. It's a little brighter. It creates a nice summer look for your client. So it's balayage and ombre, I think, kind of coexist together, but I'm going to use a combination of both today. So when I did my ombre on this side, what I did was a teasing technique. So I teased the hair back by the root and I painted the lightener only on the bottom portion of the hair. So you could see how far down the root area is. And Joanne's hair really doesn't grow that fast. So she really, needed that ombre look. That's what she came in for, so I gave it to her. So I made it very low. So she wanted that grown out look and soft without any demarcation lines. And that's really important when we talk about balayage and or ombre. So as this grows out on her balayage, she's going to get that same effect, but now it's summertime, so she wanted a little pop. So I'm going to show you today the technique I use. And again, I know you're going to say foils aren't balayage, but trust me, you're going to love this technique, okay? So again, I already did half of the head, or more than half of the head. You can see the back here. I'm going to work on one section here just to show you the technique. And just so you're aware, I did not even tone her. Okay, so what I did when prepping her hair, I used the lightener with the technique I'm going to show you. And all I used was our Silver Bombshell shampoo to get any unwanted brassiness out of the hair. And I think, as you can see, it looks beautiful. Okay, so let me know at the end what you think, because I'm excited to show you this. All right, so I'm going to mix our lightening powder mask, which is a 1 to 1.5 ratio. So I use my scale. I think that's very important. It's much easier, in my opinion, to use a scale to measure out what we need. I am going to be using 30 volume, which our 30 volume and all of our developers do have Juvexin in it. Okay, so here you go. This is our 30 volume. And the reason I'm using a higher volume than I normally would is because it's a mannequin. So it takes a little bit longer to lift, and it doesn't, if I was using this on a human hair, I would probably start with 8 volume, which we do have. which is our lowest volume, and then move up to 10 as I move up and mix smaller portions as I go. Okay, so everything equalizes at the end and develops simultaneously. Okay, so I'm mixing this 1 to 1.5. And you want to always shake up your products as well, no matter what you're using, whether you're shampoos, conditioners, treatments, because we have, of course, if you're familiar with GK, we have several different teaming systems out there. And all of this is going to need to be mixed because we use a cold press method to extract our Juvexin, in other words, our keratin. So we want to make sure that we're getting the same exact product from start to finish. So what I do with my powder, I just shake it around a little, make sure that everything is not separated, being that we are using raw ingredients and a cold press method. Okay, pick that up and then put in scale. And I'm gonna show you the consistency. So typically it's 1 to 1.5. But when I'm using a balayage or ombre, I do add a little bit more developer to make it a little creamier, so I can have that consistency nice while I'm applying the product. Okay. So I'm gonna mix my 30 volume. So what I did was a 16 grams of our lightener. So typically that would be, if I'm terrible at math, by the way, so it's 32. Okay. So I'm gonna do a little bit more than 32 grams of developer. Maybe 36. Now I'm just gonna mix it up and show you that consistency that we have. And I love that it has the charcoal color to it. At first, when I first used this product years ago, I was like, oh wow, it's gray, So I'm gonna show you that right here. But I think, well, I don't think, I know that this actually helps in fighting any unwanted brassiness into the hair. I know blue is typically the choice in lighteners, but I feel that this, having the charcoal gray, actually combats the brassiness a lot more, this is the lightener, by the way, I use on my hair. So obviously love it, and that's why I wanted to show it to you guys today. So what we're gonna need to do this balayage, and you can see that creamy consistency. What we're gonna need today for our balayage, I am, again, using foil, don't kill me, but you're gonna love it, I promise. This is our GK hair foils. We do have foils and they're wonderful. I love the flexibility of them. I don't like when they're too stiff, so these are my go-to all the time. We also are going to use our paddle board, so you'll need one of these. And of course our comb section, and of course our bone brush. So how I get started is I use a triangle technique. So I'm going to show you here, and I hope you guys can all see. I'm going to do my best to make sure that you get your details in. I know it's on camera and not in person, so it's a little bit more difficult, but so my triangle techniques I'm going to go back and forth with. So let me just clip off the hair that I've already done. I'm going to start with a slice up. And the reason I'm doing an angle downwards towards the face is because this is going to be her focal point by her ear, and we want to make sure that we have a strong point towards her face, okay? Otherwise, this would be dark here and it just, wouldn't be what she wanted. So Joanne today, she does like a heavier balayage. She wants to be summer ready for the beach and all of that, and wants to say, hey, look, I have beautiful highlights and it's all natural. Little do they know, it's not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a portion of this, and you can even V this out. So the reason it's so customizable is because the thicker the section, the more subtle the look of the balayage. So I'm taking pretty thin sections, and I can actually V this out as well if I wanted to, But today, since she wants a little bit heavier, I'm not. I'm gonna keep it more of a straight line. So I'm also gonna just give a gentle tease towards the root, just to soften up any unwanted lines in the hair, or demarcations, I should say. This is just a very gentle tease. Then I'm gonna take my paddle board and my foil. Now, this is a trick I actually use with my comb when doing regular highlights as well. So I'll take the top and gently just bend it over the top of the paddle and or comb if I'm doing regular highlights. Get it nice and straight. Then I'll take the hair, put it on, I'm sorry, just a little angle, so it's gonna be a little bit difficult. Hold the hair where I want it. And I'm gonna go real heavy on the ends with my lightener, because that's where I want to see most of it, being that this is a kind of a combination of an ombre versus and balayage technique. So when I'm doing my application here, I'm going to start feathering up as I get closer to the scalp, to the root area. And I'm going to create a V here. So I'm not going to do the center section. I don't know if you can see that, but I'll make it more obvious as I go. So as I go up, I start feathering up as well. This is going to give a much softer look, as you saw on the other parts of her hair. Okay. And the reason, again, I'm using foil is because I'm not using our clay lightener, which we do have, but I really wanted to show you guys what this particular lightener can do, because it does lift that 9 levels. It does have that hyaluronic acid in it, and it's a wonderful lightener that you can use for balayage if you choose. And this is how you do it. So again, just feathering up, I'm creating that V right here, and just gently stroking up towards the middle of that V. Okay, and then I'm gonna encase it with another foil. And why it's important to do what, or the bend over of the foil onto the paddle, is because then I'm going to lift up the foil, and I'm going to take my comb and I'm going to push it towards the root so there's no bleeding whatsoever. Being that lightener, as we know, is transformable, it's not inert, so therefore we want to make sure that it's not moving anywhere, it's going to stay put and not go onto and bleed onto the other hair. So my next section, I'm going to reverse it. So being that she likes it a little heavier, I'm going to go a little closer together. And I'm just going to take a triangle section the opposite way. I know it looks straight in the camera, but believe me, it's actually angled down to the back of her head. Again, I'm just going to take this top section here. You can, of course, take a V such as this if you wanted a softer look, but she does like it a little heavier. So I don't know if you could see that, but it is a V here. I'm not doing that today. Today I'm keeping it to the top here so she gets a little bit stronger of a look. And again, the smaller the section, the more vibrant or stronger the balayage look will be. Okay, so I'm just going to give it a gentle tease. I'm going to grab my paddle, hold it in my thumb, take a foil, bend it over the top of the board, place it underneath the hair. And again, so I want you to see it, it's a little awkward because I'm on an angle as well. Just take my lightener, I'm going to start on the end and just join it. And now what's wonderful about this lightener, as you can see, her hair is very healthy after I've already done this procedure on the rest of her hair. What's wonderful is that this was already previously ombre'd, but it didn't lighten up. I didn't want it that light. So I was able to go over, and generally I don't do that with lighteners, but with this lightener you can, being careful. With human hair, obviously it's going to be a little bit, you want to use a lower volume, but with the mannequin, I was able to use the 30 volume and get a nice even result. So again, I'm just V'ing this out And the center, I'm just gonna flick up and marry it into the root so it's just very gentle. Take a little bit more and I'll just feather a little bit towards the center of the V. There we go. And take another foil. And you don't have to use foil necessarily. It's something I feel comfortable with. You can use saran wrap, you can use wax paper, whatever you feel more comfortable with. But again, I lift up that foil and I take my comb, being that there's that vent here, I'm able to push it up to the root. So everything is encased in the foil and not bleeding onto the rest of the hair. Pulled it out of her face because we don't like foil in our eyeballs. I get it. Now I'm going to reverse my triangle. So it's angled towards her face. This is a much more obvious angle than our last one because I think the camera angle is just right. So again, I'm going to take the top portion here. And again, the smaller the section, the heavier the balayage will be. I'm taking pretty small sections, but you can take smaller if necessary, if you want a stronger, heavier look. Tease it just gently, just a gentle tease. And again, that gentle tease is going to help create a diffusion between any demarcation lines, so we don't have that. I'm going to take my board, my foil, bend it over the top, underneath the hair, hold it with my thumb, it's nice and taut, and then gently take my lightener, put it on the ends. Now, generally, if they already have lightener on the ends, I would definitely, on human person, not a mannequin, I would use like 8 volume down here and then wear her natural 30 volume. Okay, so you can use 2 different volumes while doing this, and I recommend that when doing this on your clients. So now I'm going to flick it up towards and marry it into the root area so it's nice and soft and there's no demarcation lines. And up and down, just feathering it in. And leaving that center section out. You don't want too much in one area that, you know, could create an undesirable spot on your hair. So you want to make sure that you're really feathering that brush so it's nice and soft. If it gets on the other hair up here, like for example, she just had some strays, I just wipe it off onto my towel. Wipe my fingers on the towel. Take my foil right over. Lift up the foil and secure that foil in. All right, so you see how the foil is going 2 different ways. So my first one's going back, the second one's going forward, and that's because I'm using those triangle sections, okay? So now here, we're getting close to the top and the front. So that money piece is usually very important. I know it is for me. So when we get to the top, I actually, or the front, I should say, I'm sorry. The front piece, I'm just gonna leave out right here because the front piece, I did 2 traditional foils on this side to create that money piece. Otherwise it gets lost and it's not as bright in the front. So that's generally the understanding. Well, for me especially, I love the money piece in the front. I like it lighter. Most people do as well. So if that's not something they're looking for, then you do not have to do that and doing a traditional foil in the front. Okay, so you can just keep on going with what you're doing. So I'm going to keep this out. Let me just clip it to the side. Now out of the way. All right, so now I'm gonna go back again and I'm gonna, as I go up to the top of the head, I'm gonna create smaller sections. So you'll see my sections going smaller as I get to the top of the head. Because ultimately that's where the sun hits most, right? So any natural blondes or even naturally highlighted brunettes, their hair is always darker underneath because the sun hits the top and lightens it. So that's what we're going for. That's really what balayage is. It's a nice sun-kissed look that looks natural and grows out well. I feel like this actually, it was popular before the pandemic, but definitely during the pandemic because people weren't able to get their hair done. So this was, something that they wanted to do so they can go much longer in between services. But it's a technique, like I said before, that can be customizable. I've had sorry. So that's how I would do, just so you are aware. That's how I do my normal foils. I would just put it on my comb like that and put it right up to the scalp. And then when I'm done painting it, I'm able to secure it back in because the fold is not coming inside the foil, it's outside. All right, so I'll show you that in the front piece, but I just wanted to give you an example of that. So here's my board. Just like my comb, I'd fold it over. And again, if I was using our clay lightener, I wouldn't need my foils, but because I really wanted to showcase today this, our lightening powder mask, I am. So I did want to incubate it. All right, so now I'm going to feather up. And around the front, you can go a little bit stronger. And bring it in closer to the V and have a smaller V section, if you can see that. Get that way, and then I'm just going to come up, paint this side less. So I don't know if you can actually see, I hope you can, but I have a stronger hand in the front than I do in the back of the foil. So I'm just give it a little bit more to make sure it saturates and goes all the way through. And then of course the end gets completely saturated. All right. All right. Do it. Let me just bring her back because this is more of an awkward angle for me. All right. Right up. Move the paddle. Boom. Lift up. See that flap? Now I can tighten right to the scalp. And wham. Now what's nice about having two foils is that, especially on a mannequin, I was able to go back in, open it up and see, hey, how is it processing, and if I needed a little bit more in certain areas to make sure it processes evenly, I was able to do that while still keeping it incubated. All right, so we went back this time. Now we're gonna go forward. And opposite way. So a little tighter. Remember I said as you get closer to the top of the head, you do want to go a little closer because that's how it's going to give it its natural sun-kissed look. What I love also about this liner, like I said, I mentioned it earlier, it gave such a nice lift and even lift and without any brassiness as well, that I was able to not have to tone her. So I did not use a toner on her. I was able just to use our Miami Bombshell Silver shampoo, which was enough to get out any unwanted brassiness. And your toner is going to depend on your client based on their needs. How light they want to go. If they want to say more of caramel, like my client Joanne here, and we were able to achieve that just by using the lightener and the silver shampoo, which was awesome. All right. Again, I'm going to go a little bit heavier towards the front and then towards the back less, but keeping that center section as the V out. And just gently feather into it, so there is no harsh demarcation line. And I promise you that that little feathering back with the comb or teasing helps a lot with that unwanted demarcation line. I've seen a lot of balayages where it just, I'm sure you've seen it, so it's like not pleasant. So really to avoid that, the feather or the teasing, I'm sorry, that really, really helps that. I just love this technique, and it's simple. It's not hard to do. It doesn't take hours. It's quicker, and you get the results that your client wants. And depending on your client's needs, I mean, I do have different types of client, or I should say, age groups of clients. And I have to say, my older clients don't necessarily like the rooted look, so they're going to go for more of a traditional highlight, which goes directly to the root with every single foil and is much more uniform. With balayage, it just creates more fun for the stylist because we're really able to express our artistic abilities by just looking at the hair and seeing where it needs to go. And every single client will be different, and that's what I love too. Okay, so just take a little, and remember I left that front section out, so I'm not touching that right now. I'll go back into that. Just take a thin part off the top, and again, like I said, you can create a V here and grab more hair from the center if so desired. I chose not to for this particular application, but I am going to just tease it gently, just once, not a very heavy tease, but that's just going to help again to create less of a demarc, or no demarcation, I should say. And if you're just joining us and wondering why I'm using foil with a balayage technique, it is because we are using our lightning powder mask. I love it so much, and I wanted to show you how you can do balayage with it and not have to use the clay lightener if so desired. Especially if you have a client who needs that extra levels of lift, because this does lift up to 9 levels. And I do have clients like that myself, so this technique was born from them, where they have super dark hair. And I know that, you know, that since the Miami Bombshell clay lightener only lifts up to 7 or 8 levels, it just wasn't going to be enough to get them where they wanted to be. Okay, so like for example, from like a level 3 or 4 to about an 8 or 9. Okay, so I was able to create this technique using the foil to really incubate the foil, make sure that it's not drying out the lightener, since it's not a clay lightener. Again, I'm using 30 volume, and that's really just because it's a mannequin, and I know it takes a little bit more to lift than it would be on a human head. So just take that in consideration, especially being that it's incubated into a foil, okay? With that 9 level of lift, it comes fast. It does. And that's another thing I love about the lightener, it's fast. So I always, when doing a traditional head of highlight or any balayage technique or ombre technique, I always start off, especially doing a full head, I'll start off with 8 volume, then mix 10 volume for the next section, and then 20 usually max in a foil. But again, since this is a mannequin, I did use 30. Now I could do open air with a different technique if I did the entire hair with a teasing technique, which gives you more of an ombre. So it doesn't come up so far to the root looking, it's much more rooted ombres, obviously. It's dark to light, that's what it means, right? So with that situation, I am able to use this lightener or lightning powder mask without encasing it in a foil, because I'm just painting it all on the ends after I tease. But I do cover it overall, like maybe every 4 sections, I'll cover it with either a plastic wrap or one single foil, just to keep the moisture in so it doesn't dry out. Okay, now we're gonna go back. I'm almost done here. I really hope you guys like this technique and it's successful for you, because it has been for me. And I just love to share these successful, the successful information anything I can. We do have several other lighteners. We have our regular Lightening Powder Plus, which also lifts up to 9 levels. We have our Lightening Zero, which I haven't used yet, believe it or not. I want to use it, but I have not used it, and it just means there's nothing harmful in it. You know, it's very clean. So try it out and let me know what you think about it. And of course, we have the lightning powder mask, which I'm just absolutely in love with this lightener that I'm using today. We have our Miami Bombshell Lightning Clay Lightener. And we also have our cream lightener, which is our gentlest of lighteners, which in itself explains itself. It's a cream lightener, and it really is very gentle. It does not have the power lift that this would, so it can be put on scalp. Unlike our other lighteners. All right, feathering up. This is just so much fun. Like, I remember the first time I ever did foils when I like 25 years ago. Oh my God, it's been that long I've been doing here. But the first time I did a full head of foils, like a traditional foil or highlight, I was beside myself. I said, "Oh, I can't do this." It just took forever, and just it wasn't fun. It was just robotic, you know, the same thing over and over and over. So when all of the ombre and balayage techniques came out, I was ecstatic because you can have some fun, your artistic abilities come out, and it's not tedious, in other words. Look how much fun this is. It's like a little kid, my daughter, like grabbing the paints and just painting the bathroom walls. If she ever paints the wall, she's in big trouble. But you have special paint for that, and she knows that. But that's what I feel like sometimes with balayage. You know, I could just go in there and have fun with the paint. All right, here's that flap. And then I see a little section here. I just want to show you this because this can happen and you just want to soften it out. It's a little heavy right here. So I'll just take my comb and just gently comb through it so it does not leave a demarcation line. And maybe you didn't see it, I saw it. So if that ever happens, where it's just like a little clumpy where the lightener is, you could just go in and feather it out with your tail comb. Okay, flop that over, get that in tight so it doesn't bleed anywhere else onto the hair since we are not using the clay lightener. All right, we are almost at the finish now. And the top section is going to be more of a straight back because of where she parts it. This also is important. She parts it in the middle, Joanne. She does not like a side part. So if you're doing a side part, your angles will be a little bit further as you go up the hair. Since she's a middle part person, it is going to be more of a straight back for the top piece. And again, everything's customizable. So use this technique and grow on it, you know, use it and create your own with what I'm showing you and share it with me. I'd like to see it. All right, so just a gentle tease back. We'll go a little heavier in the center there. All right. My board. Now I processed her on the rest of the hair for about 25 minutes. That's what everybody's gonna be different. As we all know, lighteners are finicky. So just keep checking it and see what level you get up to and when you need to rinse it out. All right, so now, unlike the underneath portions, sorry, it's falling over there. So unlike the underneath portions, oh, I'm just so short, I can't see the top of her head. Let me just move her a little bit. Um, where I was really being it out, meaning I was going here, here, I am gonna go a little bit higher since this is the top section, all right, to make it look more natural. So as I feather up, I'll just use my judgment, and same with you, to where to go and keep that lightening. I need my stilettos so I can see better. There we go. Let's go at the back a little. Creating that nice soft non-demarcation. We don't want demarcation lines, you know, we want this to be very natural. And the reason we saturate the bottom is because, let me show you this. If you look this up, look at all of her natural color here, the dark. That's gonna blend in with that heaviness of the lightener here. So that's what's gonna create the softness at the bottom without being obnoxious. All right, and then tighten that foil. There you go. Now, my front pieces. I'm gonna do a traditional foil or traditional highlight in the two front pieces like I did on this side. And that's just gonna be my money piece, okay? Because everybody wants that money piece. And it's necessary when doing this technique because as you saw, my partings were triangled every other way. So it was, you know, started this way, then this way, that way. So you want the front to be the strongest part, okay? All right, so set that away. So I'm just gonna go in, I'm just gonna do a gentle weave. Extra right there. Make sure your lines are always straight. If that's any advice I can give you for traditional highlights, always make sure they're straight. Okay, so I'm just gonna do a gentle weave there. And again, I'm gonna use that technique that I did with the board, except without the board now. So I take my foil, and most people that I see or hairdressers that I worked with, they'll put the comb on the front of the foil and fold it towards them. I'm gonna tell you this technique, put it in the back of the foil and fold it away from you. Okay, so make sure it's nice and tight onto that comb. You put it directly up to the scalp, as close as you can get. Smooth out that foil so you don't have any ridges on the sides. And go ahead and paint it onto that foil. And then hold it out at 90 degrees, that foil. You can get very close to the root without actually touching the root. Okay, that's what that 90 degrees is great for. All right, and then a lot of times after when we're gonna go fold it, what happens is that the foil shifts a little bit and it moves down. So when I lift this up, or when I fold it, I'm sorry, when I fold it over the top of the foil where I painted. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see. So I'll make this top piece higher so it goes over. All right, and then I'll lift it up and I'm able to put my comb here, lift this up. And see, I got a little bit on that part. And take that off. And this is like foolproof, so it doesn't bleed onto the other hair. Take the foil. Now that it's all right, you just push it towards that. And now you have such a secure foil that will not bleed whatsoever. And I fold it back and add up the face. So there you go. That make sense? I hope it did. I'll show you again. Oops, no, put that back. All right. Show you one more time. Try to get a different angle here so I really, really get a good look at this. Again, this is just a regular traditional highlight that I'm doing in the front just for those money pieces. I already did that side, so if you're wondering why I'm doing such a small section, that's the reason. Get straight line. All right. And go. Always leave a little bit of their natural in the front here. So this is a different kind of weave. I'm just pulling out I don't want in the foil. So instead of doing like in the front piece, I just take out what I don't want to give that subtle or more natural look. Then I'm going to take my foil. Instead of folding it towards me over the palm, I'm going to fold it backwards, away from me. Okay? Get that nice and slick. Put it right up. Make sure it's all flat into the scale. Start painting. Go on my hand. We love the consistency of this lightener. It really is wonderful. And actually, believe it or not, with the gray tone, you're able to really see the lifting power as you open up the foil to check them. So you're really able to get a clear idea of the level that you're at while checking. All right, there we go. Go as close as you can by holding it out 90 degrees. You get right up there. And as I fold, again, fold one, I fold it in three. This is just how I do it. You don't necessarily have to do that way. I just like to do that because a lot of times the ends of the foil will have lightener on it. And if that goes up by the root, that lightener is going to bleed onto the root and create some spots that you don't want. So I just protect that by folding it into the foil. And then go above where the line was. Pull it up. Make sure that the other hair does not have any lightener on it. If you can see, it does not. And then I go in, pull that back down and secure that foil in. And you just check the top, make sure that there's no lightener on the top parts of the unwanted hair. Hold it up and back away from her face. There we go. All right, so that was a technique I did on the rest of her hair. Again, I'm going to show you what it looks like. So I know you're not going to want to sit here and watch this process, so that's why I preemptively already did it. So let me just get this out of the way so you can see the front money piece that I did already. All right, so I just love this look. I really do. I just want to show you how soft. Oh, she's got that. So Joanne was a great model. She's got great hair too. So look how soft that balayage is. I mean, it's gentle, it's natural. It doesn't look like she has necessarily colored hair from a non-hairdresser. But as you can see, it really does look sun-kissed. And as I go through it, I want to show you different parts as well. So you can see how those angles played out in the front and in the back. So I'm just going to take a section here. You can see, if you can, hopefully you can. You can see how it's stronger here, because you could tell that was a front to back upwards. And you can see the dimensions of it and how soft it is. Unlike a traditional highlight where it would be like kind of lines, that's not what balayage is, right? So we were able to combine a balayage, ombre, and traditional foils today by using our lightning powder mask in foils with a balayage technique, and at the ends a traditional money piece foil. Okay, you can see back here how, if she put her hair back, how nice and natural that is. Okay, and that's what we're looking for. That's what Joanne was looking for, anyway. That's what she told me. So you got to listen to your clients always. All right, so the back here, we want to, now, just so you're aware, underneath I did not do. Okay, so I left this alone, as you can see. Okay, she wanted most natural, and again, like I said before, natural color is always darker underneath and lighter on top because that's where the sun hits. So as we move up, you'll see where I started. Started about there. You can just see how gentle and soft it is as we move up. Okay. And it's beautiful. And always at the top, I do it a little stronger. Okay. So as you see, as I get closer to the top, it does become more of the feathering back in the center of the V as well. Look how beautiful that transition is. Let me fold this back so you can see the back of her head. There it is. So once I washed her out after she was processed, I did lift her up to about level 8, 9, as you can see. All I did was use our silver shampoo, Miami Bombshell Silver Shampoo, which is right here. Okay, and this was able to tone out, which she really didn't have a lot of brassiness to begin with, but just to make sure that there was no unwanted brassiness. I'll show you the color here. It's very violet. Okay, that's really going to control any kind of brassiness in the hair. I use this, I mean, this is my go-to shampoo. So it's very strong too. I like to, just as an advice, or if you have a lot of or blonde hair and you're in the sun a lot, I know my hair tends to turn a little bit yellow in the sun, so I like to put this on like conditioner and leave it on for a few minutes while I wash up, and then suds it up, emulsify it basically, suds it up, and then rinse it out. So I don't necessarily go in and start shampooing and emulsify it right away, and that's just if you want to get rid of any unwanted yellow tones or any unwanted brassiness, and it works like a charm. Otherwise, suds it up right away if you're not looking for such a strong violet into the hair. Okay. All right. So again, today, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you really liked this technique. I think it's a very soft and natural look, which Joanne was looking for. So thanks, Joanne, for being my model. We used our lightening powder mask. Where did I put it? Oh, it's over here. Okay, so this again has meteor light powder in it, which is nourishing for the hair, hyaluronic acid, which is very conditioning for the hair. It has seed oils in it, which is going to act like an antioxidant to prevent any free radicals from entering the hair and damaging it, of course, as well as our Juvexin, or V2 now, since it's vegan, which is a combination of pea protein and quinoa, which is in every single one of our products. You'll see a Juvexin, it's labeled there. There it is, Juvexin right there. As well as, I'm not going to say this again correct, kaolin, and that's just going to act as a cleanser to remove any unwanted dirt or oils in the hair, to have our treatments, since they're so conditioning, or I'm sorry, our lightener, since it's so conditioning, work as well as it can to get those 9 levels of lift that you need. Okay, so if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. If you want to share with me your techniques or a spin-off of what I just did, I love to learn new techniques all the time. So I'd be happy to look at that and give you any pointers if I can. Again, this is GK Hair. It's our Monday. We have a class every single Monday. So pop in, join us. We always have a different educator, and there's a lot to learn. Again, we have several different teaming systems, treatments to smooth the hair, anti-frizz the hair, straighten the hair, about 9 of them in total. So stay tuned for those services. We'll have a full color line as well, which I'm absolutely in love with. Just to give you a sneak peek, we have several new colors as well that we came out with. I love this line because it is pure tone. So basically it's not pre-mixed, most of them, where anybody could just grab a tube and just use one color. No, you mix it because there's an ash, there's all the levels in the ash, right? So that's just 0.1. Then you have your violets, right? It's just all the levels in the violet. And then if you want to add a little bit of gold in there, you can do that and customize your client's hair or hair color to their specific needs by adding as much gold as you want, or violet, for example, or red. So it's very customizable, and that's what I love about it, because my clients can never get that formula from anyone else. It's my formula for them, and that's it. And they love that. I love that. And try it out if you haven't, okay? It's our Juvexin Cream Colors. They are 3.4-ounce tubes. So you're getting a lot more color than your traditional color lines, which are normally 2.0 or 2 ounces, sorry. And it's also 1 to 1.5 ratio, which I love because you're using less color and more developer. So that tube, that 3.4-ounce tube goes a long way, okay? So thank you again for joining us with GK Hair today. We again talked about our GK Hair Lightening Powder Map, which is one of our newer lighteners, up to 9 levels, great nourishing, great conditioning. And if you haven't tried it, I really highly recommend it because it's so versatile and customizable with any technique you want to use. As you saw today, balayage with foils, which is unusual, but we did it, we broke the rules, and we had fun. So I hope you guys had fun watching and are going to have fun trying this. Let me know if you guys have any questions. You can always message me or contact our customer service, and they'd be happy to reach out to me as well. All right. Any questions so far? Or towards the end? All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. I apologize for being under the weather and running a little bit behind here, but thanks for sticking it out with me. I really do appreciate it, and I had so much fun. Till next time. Bye.